All right. Well, welcome to First and Filoni, the final episode of the season. Um, we will be covering all of Bowl Mania, the good games, the bad games, the ugly games, a little bit of transfer portal news. Things are starting to finally slow down, it seems. Um, so the last recap of the games, and then um, the closest college football playoff that we've ever seen so far year to date in a good game, hopefully. What's the Hypnotoads are coming for Georgia's throat here. So we should have some stuff to talk about here. And but first and foremost, Mr. Cooper, how's it going, man? How's your holiday been? Watch any football or
Oh yeah, it's been going. Been busy in the woods, so that's a good thing too. But I have been able to catch up with a few games.
yeah? Yeah, no, for sure. First and foremost, we'd be remiss. We are recording on Tuesday, but if we didn't say thoughts and prayers out to Damar Hamler. Scary, scary scene last night at the Bills and Bengals game. He just normal tackle and then got up and just dropped. But I've seen that he's in stable condition, but in a coma. So hopefully he gets better soon. Guy from Pittsburgh, went to University of Pitt, beloved it seems. Um, so hopefully he's this is where life is more important than football, and everybody but Skip Bayless seem to have thought that as well. But we all know how Skip Bayless is. So um, okay. Any thoughts on Mr. Hamler there, Andrew? Did you see the play last night with that? Oh, looks like we dropped him here for a second. I was getting back. If you haven't seen it, it's not really worth going back to watch it. It is kind of just a freak accident. Um, and unfortunately it did happen, but excuse me. But it's not something
Yeah,
that you
but
want to see. Say that again.
yeah, no, sorry, I lost you when I was lost picture. Yeah, coming from an ACC guy, I wish him the best. It's a sad situation. Uh, all the prayers go out to him and the whole Bill staff, and most importantly, his parents. I believe his mother was at the game last night. It's first part of the year.
Yeah.
So, sad situation. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he can come out of.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's comes to the point. It comes to the time where the football gets a little back burner. Or decision to postpone the game.
Yeah. They've already said they're not playing the game this week, which is, yeah, I mean, expected. Um, I know Stephon Diggs went straight to the hospital and was trying to get in to see him as well. So thoughts and prayers up to them as well. And um, we know Bills Nation is going to be behind him regardless. They've already raised $4 million for his charity fund. So and prayers for his family and everything as well. So but on to a little bit more positive notes. Let's recap some more transfer news. Um, before or let me pull up some transfer news here, and then we will go over some of the other things. Correct me if I'm wrong if we've talked about these already. Um, we have people are starting to enter the draft. Grayson McCall is staying at Coastal. I think that's a smart move for him. I think he had a good year 2 years ago, down year this year. I still think he has a shot for the NFL. He just has to have another good year. Um, it looks like North Texas's 29-year-old quarterback has withdrawn from the transfer portal as well. Coastal's backup has entered the transfer portal, which is expected. Um, Florida State's Treshaun Ward enters transfer portal. That's another big name. Dylan Johnson from Mississippi State goes to Washington. Xavier Betts from Nebraska enters the portal. CJ Williams from USC enters the portal. But no more big names. It seems all the big names have already committed or gone. With that being said, we do have a chart of teams with the most transfers out. Do you have any? I know I sent this to you earlier, so we'll read down the list, and um, I want you to tell me if there's any surprises or teams that you thought that would have been on there that aren't. Texas A&M at 27, Florida and Arkansas at 22, Arizona at 20, Jackson State at 18, and Miami at 18, Stanford at 17, and then Cal, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Arizona State all at 16. Now, out of those teams, I know one, two, three are losing their head coaches, so that's expected. The Arizona State, Stanford, and Jackson State. But are there any surprises of those names, and are you surprised about the amounts of any of them?
No, I mean, to me, I thought the most one was definitely going to be Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had that
Uh,
five-star class, what, 2 years in a row, like the best class?
yeah.
Hmm.
Jackson State, unfortunately, they're just taking the hit because of the coaching move. So, I mean, you really can't
Yeah.
fault that.
No, I still think they're going to be
Um,
a powerhouse, though. Like Dion's put them
oh
on the map.
yeah, oh yeah. But no, I think I mean it's about average. I would have thought you would have seen a few more from Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I would have as well. No, you make a good point. But Brian
But I think
Harrison
with
wasn't a good recruiter, and a lot of his players left last year.
yeah, but I think with them keeping Cadillac Williams kind of helped solidify them staying because
Huge.
they really like playing for him. So I would have thought I'd seen Auburn a little bit higher up on that list, but other than the rest of them,
The team that
I wasn't
surprises
really too
me,
surprised.
and sorry to cut you off there, is Arkansas. Arkansas being so high, and they're so high on Sam Pittman. He's not a good coach. He's a hell of a. I would love to have a beer with him, nice old cold beer, but I don't know if he's the coach that Arkansas thinks that he is.
I think he is, but I mean, like I said, you get into kids that are got like 1 or 2 years left of eligibility. They want to go somewhere where they think they can compete for a conference
Yeah,
championship or a national title. I like what Pittman's got going on down there. I mean, he had a bump in the
yeah,
road, but I mean, it happens. It's not something a coach nowadays. You have one bad year, everybody turns on you.
right. No, that's fair. That's a fair point. I'm not surprised about the Florida and Miami's first year head coaches weeding out all uh, the bad jujus in the rooms, whether they're 5 stars, 4 stars. I hope Billy Napier turns Florida around, and I hope Cristobal seems like he's doing the right thing in Miami. I'd be kind of scared in about 3 years if he can keep going the way he's going with the recruiting classes he's pulling and bringing back the U. If the U comes back, watch out ACC. Um,
Speaking of the
uh,
ACC, you know who I think my dark horse next year is going to be?
who's that?
I'm going with the Duke Blue Devils.
I would not be surprised the way they beat the brakes off of UCF, and I called it. I picked them. Did
Yeah,
I? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't pick him, but I told him I said it was a trap game.
I can tell you, I think
You picked him.
that's gonna be a team. That's gonna be a team next year if they can keep
Hmm.
everybody healthy and they can continue
Well,
the momentum.
first year head coach,
Oh
defensive
yeah,
guy, and they just looked like a better team than UCF. And you don't do that to a Gus Malzahn
Gus
team.
Malzahn. No, no, you don't.
Not even. I mean, UCF is a lower school than Duke, but you don't do that to a Gus Malzahn team at
No,
all.
not an offense that Gus Malzahn is capable of. You
No.
don't do it.
No, I could see that. I could see that very well. The way that I think Cade Klubnik still has some growing pains, but I think they'll be fine next year. They'll get some people. Um, I think NC State, if they can pick a quarterback and stick with them next year between the two decent ones that they have and can grow them, I think they have a good shot if they find a running game. Um, I mean, it's still way too early. I think UNC might be a dark horse too with Drake May if they ever get a defense because he's staying and he's a gunslinger, man. I know you don't like that, but
No.
you got to admit he can throw the pigskin.
Oh
Um,
yeah, he can sling it.
so you'll look out for our preview show next year. We'll do that around early August, mid August, like we did before to get hyped up for the regular season. But it's been some active seasons. Another report here I wanted to mention, I just saw today. I know I sent it to you on Instagram, is we're going through the ropes again here. Jim Harbaugh, if he gets offered an NFL job, he's expected to leave. After his loss in the playoff, the way that they lost, um, after the season they had once again, do you think this is going to come true, or is this kind of just keep his options open, money play things? Everybody's rumoring the Colts.
It's hard to say, but I mean, really and truly, dude, he's coaching the kids along with 12 to 15 other coaches. He can't. I always stick by this. He's not out there playing. He's just calling the plays or whatever. But it just seemed like to me, both the offense and the defense were just flat coming right out the gate.
Yeah. When I watched, unfortunately, for those you don't
But
know, I
you're not.
was
But you don't bring this conversation up if they win. You know what I
right.
mean? Even if it was by 3 points or whatever.
No, I agree. I agree. And it's something we have to bring up because the last 2 years it's been very prevalent. Um, like it's
I
and I
just
can
don't know if he's not preparing the kids good enough or the game plan is
well,
just not good. But I
I think he's
mean,
a good enough coach. If you remember his San Francisco days, like his San Francisco days were good. So I think if he has that itch to go back, I think he can do it. But we'll see. I mean, you're right. If they win, this conversation's not happening at all. I don't think because he'll be one step closer. Um, but Michigan's got to be happy with their progress, even though they lost again in the playoffs. They beat Ohio State for a second year in a row out of losing the eight straight before then. Um, so interesting. Well, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Before we get to the actual playoff games, I do want to talk about a couple other games because there were some really, really good ones last week. Um, Probably the best bowl game I've ever seen was Arkansas versus Kansas. I turned it off when it was 31-13, Arkansas. And then not 30 minutes later, it was tied going into overtime. Um, Absolutely amazing game. I feel bad for the backup Bean for Kansas who overthrew the guy. But that might have been the best bowl game I've ever seen in my life. Comebacks, high scoring, overtimes, just overall good football.
I have two, and I'm going with the Tulane USC,
Yes. Amazing game.
and 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 I'm going with damn, it was just in my head, the Illinois Mississippi State.
A great win by Mississippi State. They needed to win that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like Illinois. I like
But with that,
Villanova, but
with that lateral dude, I mean, it's just it don't get no better than that.
icing on the cake for sure. And did I love their helmets? Did you see their
Yeah.
helmets? Their helmets
No, I
were
did not see their
their
helmets.
helmets, Mississippi State's helmets was a pirate flag with a skeleton bulldog that said ML below it.
I like that.
I'll have to see if I can find it and I'll send that to you. I swore I sent it to you, but maybe I didn't. It was it looked pretty sweet, man. Um, But yeah, no, I agree. The Tulane game was nuts too because we were flipping back between the hockey game and that one, and um, coming back with 4 minutes left to score 15 points. I mean, we both picked Tulane. I've been riding the green wave all year. Their offense is incredible. Um, but to do it the way they did it, how touchdown, safety, and then last minute touchdown. Like that was just crazy, man. Like some good games this past weekend, which leads me to my next thought of like this is why the 12-team playoff this year would have been perfect because you would have had Tulane in there, you'd have had USC in there, you'd have had
Oh yeah,
um yeah, I mean you wouldn't have had Arkansas or Kansas, but you would have had Alabama who just
you would have had
mollywopped
you would have had
Kansas State. Like
you would have had Penn State. You would have had
Penn State looks
Utah.
great. Utah was good until Cam Rising got out. Like there were some really, really good games this
Something,
past.
something about him in a Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl don't like him.
No, and I feel so bad because I like Cam Rising. I just knew that Sean Clifford was as many ups and downs as he's had, as good and as bad as he's looked. He could be the best player or the worst player on the field. I just knew Penn State was going to do it for him, and that defense is Franklin's quietly building a good defense, and there might be upsets if they do a whiteout game versus Penn State or Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State or Michigan next year.
Oh
So
yeah.
watch it. I'm calling it right now. If they keep that defense intact, I mean, I know they're losing Joey Porter Jr., which is big, but they keep that intact with Manny Diaz. If he doesn't get picked up, and then Manny Diaz is going to go right back up
He
to the
ain't.
top.
Oh yeah, he ain't going nowhere.
But I can see that for sure. And then the spectacle of them all. This was the first college football playoff where both games were less than 3 points, and in the entire college football playoffs before this, only three other games were within 3 points in the semifinal rounds. So to have two of them there, and of course, unfortunately, I was deathly ill. I had food poisoning from the morning of, so I didn't get to watch it, but I watched back and man, talk about some good games. Which one do you want to talk about first? Michigan TCU or Georgia Ohio State? Because I got takes on both of them.
Both of them were pretty damn good, to be honest with you. I guess we can start off with TCU. I liked how TCU just came out and flat out attacked the ball. The defense showed up.
Right.
Duggan was, I mean, he was slinging it. The run game was going until, the starting running back got hurt. They were moving the ball fairly well with ease against that big
So
Michigan defense.
remember what I said. I said Michigan's just a better Kansas State, and Kansas State showed TCU who was boss. My foot was so far in my mouth. They just like Max Duggan is a gamer. As much as I've talked crap about TCU all year, saying they can't beat a starting quarterback, which JJ McCarthy is not a starting quarterback yet. I think he's getting there. He's not there yet. But the way they beat Michigan was, I did not expect it at all. Like,
Oh, yeah.
um, I think Sonny Dykes deserves Coach of the Year after that performance. 100%. 100%. And the great part about it was he got to go to Mike Leach's funeral and spend time with his family and stuff like that during all of this as well, which kind of gave him perspective. He got interviewed after the game. He goes, "What do you think Mike Leach would have thought of it?" He goes, "Oh, he would have gotten a kick out of it, this high scoring game." And we
Oh,
all know
yeah.
he was just sitting down there watching it and talking about it. So, um, but yeah, man, I mean, Michigan just didn't look, they just didn't look comfortable. I mean, they kept it close. TCU doesn't have a defense. Quentin Johnson's a stud. Max Duggan's a stud. Like they just, I don't know what it was, and maybe it's Harbaugh. Maybe he just can't finish the big games. But Michigan shouldn't be upset about it. Like they still had a really, really good season.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I mean, hell, I honestly, truly, I thought they were going to come back and win a game at one point.
yeah, I mean, it just didn't happen for him, and I think Blake Corum being hurt still a little bit, and um, they still don't really have any playmakers on the wide receiver positions with McCarthy still worrying about his arm. I think that kind of hindered them. So um, this is where I wish we had a third place game because I would love to see a rematch of Ohio State and Michigan, especially after the games that they had. Because I bet you Ohio State would beat them by like 30. Um,
All right, so switching to the Ohio State and Georgia game. I mean, what do you think they do with Ryan Day?
Ryan Day outcoached Kirby Smart for 3 quarters. He outcoached him. Like there's no ifs, ands, or
But I
buts
mean,
around it.
oh no, but I mean, with that fan base, that's twice now making it to the national championship.
I think besides a win, that's the only way Ryan Day keeps his position for one more year. He loses to Michigan next year, that seat gets back as hot as it was. He got lucky, he got into the playoff, in my opinion. He was born on third base and was living on second base. But I think he made it back to third base. I think he, stole the base there. But I think it could very easily he loses to Michigan next year, or has a slip up next year, which they don't have a quarterback as of right now. They have a slip up next year. Um, I think it goes right back to it, but I think outside of a win, that's the only way he kept his job is playing a game like that. And that poor kid, Ryan Day made a mistake. They should have thrown the ball a little bit or done a different run play to get him closer. And I know the kicker's good, but that's a lot of pressure breathing down with 90% Georgia Bulldogs fans barking their asses off trying to block a kick 50 some yards, 48 yards, whatever it was. Like, no. No, I would be unless you're like Justin Tucker, Adam Vinatieri, you're not making that kick.
You could tell he tried to put everything behind it. He just got into it a little bit too much.
Yeah, you can't blame the kicker on that one. Now, if it was 10 yards closer, yes. But I don't think you blame. What about you, man? Like, do you think Ryan Day's job's safe? Or you think he's still on the hot seat?
I think it's safer now, but I mean, like I said, Ohio State is used to winning with Urban Meyer. The regular season it counts, but it don't count. If you can make it into those
Right.
top four national championship bowls, I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to feel a little bit of pressure, like you said. I think this year, if he has one loss, maybe two,
Two, he's out.
he's out.
Two, he's out. Unless he's like on a third quarterback, two, he's out.
No, yeah, no. I don't see him keeping him much longer if he can't win the big one.
No. I think CJ Stroud, he played his ass off. CJ Stroud did really well. I mean, I can't speak highly enough for Ohio State the way they played. Like they played really well from when I watched it back. But it just shows you Georgia just has that many studs and they just keep reloading. And it kind of leads me to my next question here. Is Stetson Bennett the greatest college if he wins if he wins the national title again, is he the greatest college quarterback of all time? Well, he's connecting back. I'm not sure if you heard me there. There's some rumors going around, or from some pundits and college football shows that I watch. Um, so some college football shows that I watch have been swirling the question: if Stetson Bennett wins the national title, is he the greatest college football quarterback of all time? I saw that question earlier
I mean,
today, and wanted to ask you that one because
I think I think he's in the top three, maybe four.
really, I don't think he's that good. He's a gamer, but
Yeah, but I mean, he's a gamer. He surrounds his. They've done a good job surrounding the players around him. But I mean, like I said,
you're putting him up there with like
it's a damn shame that Hendon Hooker wasn't.
right.
Yeah, but it's a damn shame Hendon Hooker also wasn't in New York for the high. Even Kirk Herbstreit said the same thing.
So you're putting Stetson Bennett up there with Tim Tebow and Cam Newton and um, Marcus Mariota. I'm trying to think of other like Trevor Lawrence, who had a spectacular career. Um, you're putting him up there with
I mean,
them.
yeah, I mean, I would
You
have
have
to
to. You have to.
because
You're right. You're right. You're not wrong.
you have to because he started two seasons and he's in back to back national championship games.
No, you're. I mean, I'm just like it's a question, but it's like never a question that you think that you would have to answer. He knows how
I
to
mean,
win the
yeah, but I mean,
game.
how can you take away if he wins the national championship? How can you take that away from him as being?
You can't. You can't. If he wins the national championship, he has submitted himself in college football history. You're exactly right. But it's one of those weird things that he's the worst quarterback in the four teams both years, and he's gonna win two national titles.
But I
It's just
think TCU's gonna give him a. But I think Kirby's gonna get that defense a little tightened up this week. I can tell you that.
well, let's go ahead and get into it. Our final picks of the year we have on January 9th, the day that I will be 30 years old, national championship game. We have Georgia Bulldogs versus TCU Horned Frogs. Who you got, Mr. Cooper? Final pick of the year.
I picked Georgia. I'm pretty sure I picked Georgia. I'm going with Georgia because they've been there. But then
I
again, this is another one of them games where it's kind of like, okay, well, look what TCU did last week.
I think you said it in your statement before I asked the question. Kirby Smart is going to tighten up that defense, and I don't think Georgia has another slip up. As much as a great story TCU would be, which they would be one of the best teams, best turnaround teams in college football history if they win it. But I think Georgia's just too much. I think their defense is that much better than Michigan's. I think their offense is that much better than Michigan's. They have playmakers on every level. So I'm going Georgia as well. Um, but it would be a great story if TCU won. It would be a
Well, you
great
got to think
story.
if TCU wins this game, they will be the first team in God knows how long to be unranked in the preseason to win the national championship.
Well, before TCU got in, there was only six other teams who have ever made the college football playoff. Six. So this just, I mean, it's proving our theory and what we've been saying, and since we got the news of the expansion, fortunately, it's not going to be next year, but the year after that, that 12 team, that parity NILs once NIL gets going as well, it's going to start evening out the playing field, and we'll get some good football. Um,
Oh yeah.
all right, well, let's look at the last thing that we have to mark on our calendars here is our bowl mania. And I think the games are all over. Even with one game left, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check the standings here. Um, we had seven people pick. Unfortunately, yours truly won the title. By 1 point, came back. Andrew was beating my butt up until this last week. I picked some highly unlikely upsets like Pitt over UCLA, I think was the big one. Um,
Well, you want to know the truth. The
what's
truth
up?
is the on my bowl mania, the teams that I have written down, I think I accidentally clicked other teams because it was two games that I had written
Yeah,
down on paper that I think when I was going through there I clicked and didn't really realize it.
yeah. No,
But
I
it is what
understand
it
that.
is.
I understand that. Like I was like, man, Coop's really kicking my butt. Like I was like, dang, he's gonna beat me in Bowl Mania. I'll have the regular season title and he'll beat me in the postseason, the one that matters,
No,
right?
yeah.
Um, But with that being said, we both went over 100 wins for the season if we include these as well, which pats on our own backs. I didn't think we would get there, to be honest with you. I'm actually super surprised.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty sweet.
First year doing it, excited to keep doing it next year. But we do have to say, Libby had a massive drop, unfortunately. Elise had a good comeback. She came in third place. You tied second place with Kyle Rigg, who actually will be getting the Amazon gift card. Libby in fourth place, and then two of my coworkers in fifth and sixth place. So thank you guys for filling out those. Um, I had fun doing it. It was exciting. At least I know living with her here, she got really into it and she was mad because she's 2 games behind if you look at the record because she forgot to pick the day games because she wanted to listen to our episode before she picked. So she missed the Minnesota game and another one that she would have gotten correct. But it wouldn't matter. I'll get with you and I'll shoot Kyle a text and we'll get him that gift card over here
Yeah,
by not
yeah.
by
We'll do
mid-month
25,
25.
25 a piece. If
Oh,
anything, I'll just Venmo you.
I was only 25 because we didn't hit the mark for 25 a piece, but we'll do
All
25
right.
and I'll send that over his way. One more thing here is we'll be doing a draft special. Details will be coming out. I'll look out on our socials. It won't be till April. But I'm still in the works of kind of planning it and then presenting it to you, Andrew. I'm kind of have an idea of we get one person on for each division and kind of talk about team needs and stuff, and then they'll go through a mock draft. Or we might actually join another podcast who's an NFL podcast and kind of do a joint podcast for that one, like a draft special. Um, but thank you guys for listening all year. This is our last episode of the season. Um, we really do appreciate it. I'll be learning how to do podcasts over the summer so that you don't have to see these ugly mugs on camera. You can just listen into it while you're working. Um, will be better production next year. This was kind of last minute thing, dreams kind of last minute thrown together that we wanted to do it and get it started, but we had fun doing it. And thank you guys for all the support. Any last words for the folks, Andrew?
No, thank y'all for everybody who's listened throughout the year. It's been fun. Unfortunately, it's coming to an end, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. But thank you to everybody who's been sharing everything and listening to everything. I know we're kind of ready for some downtime ourselves, but thank
Yep.
you to everybody.
Yeah, we're about to go into that 200-day slump of no college football, and then we'll be itching for it as well. So hopefully we can ease the pain a little bit. Maybe an April episode. Maybe we'll do like a June episode to recap spring ball and summer stuff, and then we'll do the start August early and go through each division like we did last year. But thank you guys again, and we'll see you next year.